Right, okay. So, hi guys. Welcome to our next Benumu interviews. Today we have the one and only Charlie Ashcroft. Woo woo!
Oh, thanks.
Thanks for coming, dude. How are you?
Great, yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. So, firstly, we'd like to say a massive thanks for being a big supporter of Benumu.
Oh,
that really means a lot, man. So,
honestly,
thank you.
It's always a pleasure, and we love what you do. And I say we, not the royal we. You know, me as everyone who I represent. You know, I think you guys are onto a good thing. So it's nice to be aligned with what you do. I think that's the best way of putting it.
Thank you, man. That's really cool. So it also goes without saying you're a massive supporter of new and live music. A few examples of this is because I meet loads of artists you can imagine. And as soon as I mention your name, everyone had so much love for you. Seriously, man, it's like that guy is a legend. He's so lovely. He really supports music. Brilliant.
Well, it's humbling to hear, and I'll get shy. But no, yeah, that's it's not. You know, it's for me. It's never. It's no chore at all to shout from the rooftops about something you like or something you believe in, and we get so many great new bands through the door. Mm-hmm. Whether that be at BT or Amazing Radio or just out and about when you're seeing gigs, it's just we're spoilt for great talent, not just in this country, but you know from all over the place. So it's great to be a part of that.
No, amazing to be able to get involved with so much music like that. So as well as working for BT TV Music, you host a great show. So guys, please go and check it out. It's on Monday nights at 7 p.m. on Amazing Radio called Audition.
Yes.
Just go and check it out, everyone. So everyone wants to know, how did you get into radio?
I'm trying to think. The first time I did any radio of any kind was at uni, and there was a student station in Bristol called Burst, Bristol University Radio Station. There you go.
Cool.
Good name. They were kind of the one stall I wanted to go and see at the Freshers' Fair, because you get the first week of uni, Freshers' Week, they have a Freshers' Fair in the Union, and I saw, I knew there was a radio station. I wanted to go and have a chat with them, see what they were like. And they said, essentially, here's what we do, this is what you can hear on the speakers in the Union. I was like, that sounds brilliant. I'd love to try and get involved somehow. And at that point, I'd always loved radio. I'd always loved listening to music. Radio had always been on in the house, you know, at home growing up. And I'd always wanted to share music with people. I wasn't particularly musical myself.
Okay.
But I always went out and saw bands and always wanted to give people tapes and stuff like that. So I was always kind of invested and involved.
So sharing, it sounds like there's a big sharing
exactly.
thing, yeah?
So radio seemed like a good platform to try and speak with some authority to, you know, not just my mates, about stuff I loved. And so I spoke to the guys at the stall, and they said, well, part of being here is that we want people to get involved who've just joined, who've just come to Bristol. So there are some sort of trials or auditions, if you like, next week. Come along, we'll have a little sort of little sample of what your show would be like.
Yeah.
Give you 5 minutes, and we'll go from there. And so it almost sort of took more of an importance than planning for my first sort of lecture or seminar.
Right, okay.
I was like, I really want to go and you know, do the business.
That's a real passion then. That's
I was just like, I would love to get involved in this radio station, and it seemed like a great thing to be part of and sort of belong to, a good little community of fellow-minded sort of music lovers, I suppose, from all walks of life, but all who happen to be studying at Bristol, which is obviously quite a rich sort of musical city, sort of heritage-wise. So
great music from there.
Yeah, so you're in the midst of all that and think, oh God, how great would it be to be on air in this city? So yeah, day of the audition came. I turned up, nervous as hell. Yeah. Drank about a pint and a half of water. Right,
not vodka.
No. Well, very tempted. It was like I think it was like 10:30 in the morning, which even by student standards.
Yeah, fair enough. But 11 would be fine.
Yeah, maybe part of lunch. Yeah. And I distinctly remember it was weird because I'd been to a gig the previous evening. Funeral for a Friend were playing at the Anson Rooms in Bristol Union, and I was going to basically talk about that gig, play a song from them, and talk a little bit about other stuff I quite liked, you know.
Yeah.
And as I had the album, I think I bought the album at the show. I put it into the player, was getting ready for my sort of slot. And as I went to sort of cue it up, and I thought, I'll try and impress them. I'll talk over the intro and then stop talking as the sort of main riff kicks in.
Yeah.
Really, really impress them. And then the CD skipped.
Right.
And
Okay,
I was
dude.
like, what's a brand new CD? Anyway, so I was like, in my head at that point, you're like, oh God, this audition is going terribly already. But obviously I managed to sort of style it out, I guess, and then talk a bit of
okay.
nonsense at the end of the song and play something else. And then, yeah, essentially I got a show on a Sunday evening on Burst Radio and did that for the duration of my days in Bristol. And then when leaving uni, you think, okay, well, I've got a degree in languages. I can speak French. I can speak Italian. I can draw upon those, but I would quite like to continue in radio. And so that was my sort of big decision, I guess. And the summer after I left uni, I just got a sort of behind the scenes job at local station out there called GWR.
Yeah, okay. Right, yeah.
It's now Heart. I think it rebranded.
Is it Great Western Radio or something like that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, since rebranded to one of the Heart stations, but quite a big local hub, and was just getting an idea of how a bigger radio station worked, I guess. And then got a job doing traffic news on sort of local radio for a couple of years. And then, that was sort of, I suppose, my first sort of stint in actual real world radio rather than, pretending at home with a microphone and a tape deck in my room. So so that was it. That was my that felt like that was what I wanted to do, and I thought I'd try and pursue that while being a traffic news person. I was making podcasts just at home, just a small corner of the bedroom, just playing stuff from kind of local Bristol bands, like trying to get a little bit of a reputation for trying to support new stuff, having finished the sort of student radio stuff. I wanted to kind of carry that on. And then I joined, and that brings us, I suppose, to joining Amazing. After a couple of years of doing traffic and travel, I went to sort of just scroll through some DAB stations and came across something I'd never heard before, and a band I'd never recognised before. And Amazing Radio, what's this? And it turns out it was quite a new station based in the northeast, up in Gateshead. And I just sent them an email, linked to my podcast, and just got talking to Paul, the guy who runs it. And still runs it now. And he said, when I go to hire some presenters in the new year, I'd like to kind of keep you in mind. So let's stay in touch. So
Brilliant.
I was like, okay. And then since then, so that was late 2009, early 2010. So,
wow.
And so still rocking on Amazing Radio after all these years.
And congratulations to them as well for giving people opportunities. I mean, that's really, really cool to hear.
Yeah, they have, I suppose, developed into this platform which is a good opportunity for artists to, even if they're getting local sort of airplay on BBC Introducing or other sort of local stations, it's nice for them to have a platform like Amazing, who aren't necessarily local to them but have got presenters all over the place, but have got that ability to champion stuff at the very beginning, give artists their first taste of having a radio interview or a phone interview, just kind of use it as a bit of a training ground, stomping ground, to try and get people confident in being on the radio, give them that buzz of getting heard on the radio. A lot of listening habits have changed, even if it's coming out of a phone and not a box in the corner of the room. There's still that same buzz. I think people still value airplay. So
I think it's getting more and more important as well.
And they've been doing it for 10 years now, and I think it shows no signs of slowing down.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant what they do. They support the way they support music. It's fantastic. So I imagine you get sent quite a lot of music.
Yes.
How many tracks a week do you reckon you get sent and listened to?
Okay, so I suppose it's a combination, I suppose, of the stuff I get in my email inbox and the stuff that goes on the Amazing uploader, because obviously people just upload their tracks. It's an open forum, so you can just get that to us that way. Then I get sent a fair bit of stuff for BTTV as well. Not all of them are videos. Sometimes you just get an audio track through saying, this great band, what do you think? Totaling it up, I mean, it must run into the thousands, I suppose. Wow. Which is daunting now that I say it out loud. But the example is like, last week I was away. I was just getting a bit of fresh air down on the south coast, little family holiday.
Lovely.
Camber Sands.
I know it. Yes.
And I just left my Amazing and BT emails well alone.
Yeah.
And you just see it add up at the end of the week when you kind of log back in and you're like, right, okay, let's start.
So 5 o'clock
Start
starts.
from 7 days ago. Yeah, I mean, the commute on the first day back to work is like, right, can't reply to everyone, but at least flag stuff that you know you should be listening to, because either a band stand out for having written a good email or an engaging piece of copy, you know, something that you can go, oh, okay, they sound interesting, or I like what they're doing, where they're playing. You know, you kind of look for little touchstones.
Yeah, well, we
I
can
guess.
touch on that a bit later,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
because that's some good stuff to to bring to people.
We can do some advice. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much amazing new music out there. Obviously, we get lots and lots and lots as well. But, you know, with this amazing research in live guitar music, you know, there's also the fusion between electronic and live. What trends are you seeing at the moment, sort of in regards to different musical styles out there? Because there are trends. It'd be interesting from what we see. What do you see?
I think I see. You've hit the nail on the head. Really, there is a. If you don't even have to scratch the surface or dig too deep to find a good sort of uprising of guitar bands who I think are just pleased to be out there playing gigs, getting their music out there. They know that maybe certain aspects of the mainstream media don't give them as much time as maybe they would 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But again, I'm use that phrase again, they feel like they belong to something. They belong to a local scene or a community.
Yeah.
But when they're ready to break out, or when they think, actually, we're going to be offered a tour, or we're, you know, even showing that you don't have to be based in a particular city, you know that they're ready, because they've honed that live performance to a huge degree, you know.
Well, that's a really good point, because one of the things that we've really noticed is the level of musicianship. I mean, so we work the whole spectrum, as you know, a whole spectrum of artists, thousands. And some of the guys we do some live shows with, I mean, they can be 18 to 21, the ages. But you seriously think that these guys have been playing for at least 30 years. I mean, the level of musicianship is off the scale. So with everything that's sent you, have you noticed like a significant sort of level of musicianship in the last 5 years? It's sort of increased tenfold, or
you sometimes get that. You get the impression that a band who you might be discovering them for the first time, whether it's the first time they've bothered to email you about something, or it's the first time that they've actually had stuff recorded. But then you kind of read the bio and it says, "Oh, we formed in 2015." And you're like, "Oh, wow, okay." You can kind of tell, and then you see that they actually are in their late teens or early 20s, and not, you know, a mid 20-somethings. This is our sort of bit on the side compared to the day job. They're doing it while they've got a bit of time, a bit of when you've got youth on your side. There's no better time before real responsibilities come in, to properly hone your talent. And I also feel like you're not tied to necessarily needing the best music teacher, or going to the best sort of music school, or, you know, musically minded uni or college. If it's something that you love, and it's something that you can do with mates and enjoy and just hang out doing, and you really sort of believe in those sort of hours that you spend together, you just get better by it's almost that sort of good old team spirit. And you think like, well, the drummer sounds shit hot today. What's going on there? And you can also up your game. We thought, okay, next time I'm going to pick up that guitar, I need to be on the level to the drummer. You wouldn't admit it out loud, but you're like, actually, I'm motivated to play better,
proper teamwork,
write better songs, taking the aspects of the songs. If you write a song which collectively you think is your best, identify what you like about it and write 5 new versions of that song, and 2 more might come up. You might sound a bit samey to begin with, but at least you're getting that kind of confidence to say, actually, we can write a good hook, or we can, you know, find a great riff that we. You want people in the crowds not just to sing the words, you want them to sing the riffs back to you. Do you know what I mean? You get those now where it's just like, if you got someone yelling an intro before the singers even come up to the mic, what a feeling, right?
Yeah, you're winning.
Yeah, so
winning.
Be catchy, but also you can be catchy and heavy at the same time.
Oh,
so,
yes.
So yeah, I'd say there's definitely that resurgence. That's a trend, I'd say, even that's picked up. And you know, yourselves probably parts to play with this in terms of the platform you give people, but also, I suppose, the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, I feel like there's been a proper little groundswell. And it's, as I say, you know, I live in London, but it's not just here. You can sense all over the place.
The ripples are turning into waves, I think, and it's starting to get quite serious now with the talent and the actual songwriting ability, the musicianship. It's a really exciting time to be in live.
I think you get a sense with some of the kind of certain promoters or people who do club nights with bands as well. You kind of just you know that there'll be certain areas around the country which can produce a decent night. If you're visiting that particular town, you know you're in for a good night. You've got bands who believe it's
party.
Exactly. And you've got to
proper rock and roll.
Give the kids something to look forward to on the weekend.
Exactly.
It's just one of those.
Yeah, hope.
Yeah,
exactly. It's an important thing.
Exactly. Again, feel like you belong. Feel like you're friends with the band. Become friends with the band. Chat to them afterwards. They're not going to bite.
That's one of the things we love in the green room is the when you go up there and just check everyone's all right and what's happening. It's as if they've all known each other for like 20 years. They're shaking hands, having a hug, talking about the music, gig swapping, maybe do some collaboration. It's incredible.
You want to go up there and see, let's say, maybe a big green room with 3 sofas. But if there are 3 sofas, you want the bands to have essentially mixed up and all been sitting next to each other on each other's laps. Yeah, exactly.
It's wicked.
So that's what you need. You don't want them all cowering in the corner, sort of stuck around the beer fridge or whatever. You want them to be, as you say, like real life.
It's the only way we go forward.
Networking almost in a wanky way. It's just say, oh well, next time we're in your town, can we play? Next time you're here, you can crash on our sofa. Or anything like that, just to kind of create something that resembles whatever is loosely defined as a scene now. I think it's the important thing.
Agreed. Brilliant. So going back what you were saying before, I think there was some really good advice you could give to artists out there. What are the key things that you look for when sort of going through all those emails that you've got? What jumps out and goes, right, bosh?
I think, as I said, you need some, just even if it's just a couple of sentences that are quite engaging, just to sort of explain who you are, where you're from, and what you're about. It's nice, I think. We're in a world now where you get bands quickly or artists quickly get signed up to PR companies and sort of pluggers and stuff who then are quick to just throw streaming stats at you and say how many views they've had on YouTube and all that, which is fine because obviously it's the sign that maybe an artist is going somewhere. But it doesn't give me any real kind of context to talk about, whether it be on the radio or in conversation with other people. It's one of those things where you think, I actually just want to know genuinely who they're influenced by, what bands they've been playing with. It's always nice to know if they're part of something or whether they're flying solo in a town that we've not represented before, all that stuff. So I think having a couple of sentences of sort of quite engaging sort of opening gambit, and then just some what you've been up to, whether this is a full-time thing, whether it's just something that you can profess that is your sort of ultimate passion. Doesn't always matter, but it's still, as long as I know a little bit of info, because ultimately you're trying to paint a picture on the radio, aren't you? Or trying to get some context about what a band is what hymn sheet they're singing from. So
rather than the classic sort of Google Analytics spreadsheet, this is much more about the heart and soul of the people that write the music, play the music. That you get to listen to.
I think so. And I think if it's not the band themselves emailing, if it's someone on behalf of the band, it could be, the manager or the mate or just someone in the band who's, been assigned to be doing this sort of boring email admin or the sort of social media stuff. But if they, even if they make it a bit more personal and say, hi, we've listened to your show, or we've heard you playing this slot,
cool,
so you might like us, or, that sense of like, no pressure to play us, but we think you might like us.
Human.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good advice, I think. That's really good advice.
Because in real life, you don't go up to someone and just throw Spotify streams at them in terms of...
Well, unless you want to get sectioned.
Well, yeah, exactly. So this is it. I find it nice sort of maybe on the 4th or 5th email when you say this EP's done this amount and this is how we got here. But if you're emailing me for the first time particularly, it's just nice to know a little bit, even if you don't have much of a bio or story to tell, just at least tell me where you're from, how many of you there are, and
cards on the table,
why you love what you do. Yeah, exactly. So as you say, a human conversation, it's not that difficult.
It
even
means
over
a lot.
email, it's not that difficult.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
So as well as getting sent lots of music, how do you go out and discover new music? Now, you're more than welcome to start. I'm just going to get a plug in. More than welcome
Hey.
to say Benumu. We're not, no pressure there. No pressure there. But no, seriously, I mean, because you get sent loads, but there's that little bit you must.
I think you still get, when you go and see a gig, you still get support bands who surprise you in a good way.
Yeah.
Because they might not have much of an online presence. They might not have been organised enough to do the emailing. Could be the first gig. Could be literally the second gig. They might know someone in the band, be the manager's mates, daughter in the band. One of those sort of links that, but they're on that stage and they're playing great. And sometimes that's a great way of taking things home. As an aside, I think back, I was, saying before we came in the studio, I was thinking back to Brighton and your showcase last year. I'm fairly sure that 4 or 5 of the bands I saw on your lineup that day, I've since either reached out to or have been in touch with me, and we've supported them, whether that be
that's amazing, by the way.
And radio. And so it's just sometimes it's seeing people in the flesh and being like, okay, these are great, and I can't find very much info online, and maybe there's a reason for that, and it's just being poised to be aware, that way. And then, I mean, I suppose Twitter is still quite useful because you tailor who you follow, and the tastes of the people you follow, and you know who's going to be quite a sort of trusted source. I still am one for, I know music blog culture isn't quite as thriving as maybe say 5-10 years ago, but there's still some good music news sites out there that do decent kind of editorial. They don't necessarily do full-blown reviews, but if you look at the Clash website, Line of Best Fit, those kinds of magazines like DIY, they're kind of committed to supporting a lot of new stuff alongside some of the sort of slightly more, I suppose, high-profile kind of festival headliner kind of Indian alternative stuff. So I still kind of look out for those in the traditional way.
Yeah, that's cool, because with the online platform that we've got, we're starting to reach out to a few more bloggers to get them involved so they can actually speak to the bands and so forth. There's a couple from London, a couple from up north, and the writing skills are fantastic, and we've met them all, haven't we, guys? And you could, when you sit down, have a pint or a cup of tea or whatever it is, you can generally again see the same level of passion and commitment that you've got to supporting these guys. So we really want to get them all into one place, because as you say, if you can get the feeling of who they are and a bit more information, as well as seeing the videos, listening to the music, seeing some photos and so forth, absolutely amazing. So. Right, you must have seen, or bands, let's say, that you first heard 5 years ago. Yeah, even 6-10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And now they're only just starting to break through. A couple of things here. So, do you think there's more merit for bands that have worked hard, keep innovating and pushing forward, rather than right time, right place?
I would say, I mean, I think you're better prepared for a bit of longevity once you've made that breakthrough. If you've actually been slogging for 4 or 5 years, if you cast your mind back even 15 years. Franz Ferdinand broke through. You felt like Alex Kapranos, that was his kind of big chance to break through. He'd been on the circuit for a little while, and suddenly this was his band, and it was their moment. But they had been working hard. But then you look at it now, and there's very much that sense that it's harder to break through. You have to have a fair bit of stuff to align and to be on your side, a bit of luck as well. But that doesn't stop you having, as I said before, it doesn't stop you having honed your live show, got your social media stuff all intact so that people can find out stuff. People hopefully already have your merch and have some physical product, to actually take away and actually be supporters of you, so that when you do break through, they're still there with you. They don't resent your success because they know you've worked hard for it, rather than it just being, the mysterious, electronic duo out of nowhere who have suddenly signed to a major, and there's an official website that literally just has a YouTube embed with a visualizer and nothing. You're like, where's the store? Where's the link to go and stream the rest of your back catalogue? It doesn't exist, or you're holding it back, or you were called a different name before and you've been working for 3 or 4 years and now you've changed. All that stuff is. I find people are quite savvy now, and I feel like you can lift the veil on the mystery, and there's no shame in that. You just have to just show yourselves to be hardworking musicians who are going to put on a good live show when you come and see them. So it's a tricky business, because I'm sure there's other people who have just that moment where, particularly if it's a solo artist, singer-songwriter, open mic, someone happened to be in the audience who then told their mate who was at a label, and then the chain of kind of influence starts to sort of circle a little bit, and hone in on that one performer. But I prefer to see bands who have bossed it on their local scene, successfully sort of managed to tour, scrape some pennies together and get around the country, be well looked after if they've gone onto the continent and, wowed some other audiences and done a bit off their own back. And I feel like that success is always a bit more, when it's a bit more hard earned, I feel is the more rewarding one to see develop like that.
Well, this leads into, I think, so are there any bands in particular that you've seen, and I mean, you heard and you were absolutely, right, blown away with, but still just haven't been able to break through? And if so, what can we do to help? Apart from the magic wand,
Yeah, indeed. There's an example I sometimes bring out with this kind of question, and it's not even. The problem is it's a band who I don't know if they're still going or not, or whether they're still making music. Right. But early on in the Amazing Radio era, we had a couple of uploads on our uploader by a band called the Chevin.
Okay.
They then signed to Fierce Panda, I think, and then put out a couple of big singles, and then put out an album. We had them play live for us at one. Amazing put on some gigs. We essentially, Amazing's radio is based in Gateshead. It's in the northeast. I was kind of part of their London crew, basically trying to sort of spread
London
the word
massive
down in the south. Perish the thought, trying to spread the word down south in a fiercely competitive environment. But it's radio, so it's a bit different. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. So we had the Chevin play for us at the Bull and Gate. Remember the Bull and Gate?
Yes, of course.
Of course. So we had them, they played, and probably to about 40, 50 people. It was not huge. But the guys...
It was still good though, man.
It's still good, yeah. Wow, it was fine. And you felt like we put on a good night. It was a good lineup of bands. But the Chevin played, and the singer's voice was, literally could have tore the roof off the building. It was so good. Soulful, big, powerful, didn't miss a note all night. It played 6-7 songs. Right. And so then they kind of disappeared a little bit, and we thought, well, they were clearly on the verge of being like a huge, big indie band. We have no idea what happened. And then suddenly they turned up on the David Letterman show. Right. No one knows how. And so suddenly this YouTube clip just circulated, and we were like, oh my God, the Chevin are going to make it. And at the end, I think David Letterman goes up. It's one of those things, he's holding the CD or the vinyl up and he kind of introduces them. I don't think he's ever heard them in his life, obviously. Right. But he's seen their performance on, primetime national US television. Goes up and he always shakes all the band's hands. It's that classic Letterman, are those your drums? He did all that stuff. But he goes up to the singer, literally on this occasion, just goes up to the singer and goes, I'll have some of that. Give me, I just, forget it. That's all I need. And he was like, basically talking about the singer's voice. Because it was just this like mind-blowing, almost operatic indie sort of voice.
Yeah, okay.
And then they disappeared again. I don't know. If the Chevin are watching, please get in touch.
Yeah, where are you?
You were the best band that almost never was. They did a great album.
And did their amps go all the way up to 11?
Of course it did. Of course,
Wicked.
Of course it did.
Wicked.
So they're an example of someone who me and my former Amazing Radio colleagues were always a bit like, God, they could have been massive. Then we thought briefly they were back and suddenly conquering the States. Then they disappeared again. People disappear from trace. You feel like they make an incredible album and then suddenly...
Well, I think I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while, because obviously I know Kieran and so forth, and I've asked him. So, right, so we speak to loads of artists, and there seems to be this 50-50 split, right, between gigging regularly or gigging once every 6 weeks or something. Yeah. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts as a music lover or as a fan of a particular band? Like, would you prefer to see them sort of gigging, 2 or 3 times a week? Maybe, one in London a week and then 2 up the road or in a different city, or once every 6 weeks to make it or 2 months to make it more exclusive. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, I honestly, and I've always endorsed this, play more regularly, because I end up with this, and I don't know if this is just London or whether because we've got so many venues and there's so many great artists around, but I always feel like a lot of people are told to not play as much in London. Or if they've played a particular venue, don't then go and play in a different part of town, carve out a local thing in that part. It's very difficult to sort of be an established up and coming, maybe a bit of an oxymoron, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
an
yeah,
up and
I'm
coming
with you,
band
I'm
who are
with you.
gigging regularly in sort of Hackney or Shoreditch, and then suddenly go like, oh, actually, we're going to play up in Camden or down in Peckham or whatever. It feels like it's quite hard to have that sense of localness, if you like. But I think if you gig regularly, I think honestly, not just for your own musicianship and getting good at playing live and trying to engage a room, but to actually build up those supporters that want to be with you. If they believe in you, you could have maybe half a dozen people show up to the first gig, but if maybe half of them turn up to your next one a week later and they've brought a couple of mates with them, for example, you're sort of gradually expanding your sort of circle of interest.
Agreed.
I think, you know,
we're very much aligned on that.
yeah, I just don't see the problem in what's the stigma of just getting better at playing live. And why did you start the band in the first place?
Yep.
Not to play in a small garage or a rented studio that's costing you a bomb. You've done it to go and see the whites of people's eyes and get
Amen.
people in your face and actually see you, you know, be out there. It's very easy now, I think, it's very easy for people to find music if they, because of streaming services and everything else.
But that's yes, sorry.
But so that's why I think there's a bit of a value in actually seeing you live. I don't think you need a particular gap in between performances to make it more special, because realistically people aren't going to be able to afford to come out every single time to see you. You might get a hardcore half dozen or 10 or so who always want to see you when you play. But it's just giving that opportunity to be on the circuit regularly and just to be a name that crops up.
Yep.
Where's the shame in that?
Well, I mean, do you think there's... I mean, I know what us guys think, but, you know, do you think there's an imbalance between going out... I think this feeds in really nice, going out to watch live music and the fact that it's so easy now to listen to music at home and streaming?
We're the generation who are growing up in their teens now are probably, I mean, realistically, the first generation who've grown up with access to every single piece of music ever recorded.
Yep.
Whereas before, you know, we were quite picky and choosy about what we went and spent money on and how you got access to that stuff, or you're waiting for particular radio shows or TV shows or
recording the top 40.
All that. Everything.
Make sure you press pause in time.
Yes, exactly. Don't want any DJs talking.
That's it.
Don't want to hear what they've got to say about the record.
39.
Yeah. No adverts. For goodness sake, no advert. No, anyway. Yes, so it is easy, but then they've also got, you have to then remember that they've got quite varied palettes in terms of what music they're growing up with. It's not, I don't see it necessarily being as tribal now as it was, because people are into a bit of everything. And I feel like that's symptomatic, because the genres are now being almost attached to certain moods, you know, and so that comes, I guess, from the sort of streaming culture that we've got, where people can love Bring Me the Horizon and also love Stormzy and also love Adele, and, you know, have just that broad range of like tastes. Music that makes you feel something, not just like, oh, music because it's, you know, a particular type. So I think, which means I think they've also still got the propensity to actually go out and see stuff, because everything's so digital and virtual and, you know, so accessible. You actually, it's something that is sort of next level special to actually be able to go and see a band in the flesh who you've been sort of hammering out your speakers at home.
I mean, the demographics of our events and stuff it's amazing to see. It's a real cross-pollination of everything you can imagine. It's really good, and everyone's hugging. Which is even better.
Perfect.
So I mean, sort of in the same vein, do you think streaming's been a force for good, or do you think it's getting to the point now where we need to less streaming and more live?
I think it's, if you turned around and said to me, oh, there'll be a way of, as a music fan, if you turn around to me and say, oh, you can access all the music in the world without having to pay as much as you would expect to for that type of service, you know, I'd be like, okay, amazing, like, that's great. But then you sort of start to hear a few stories that come through about, you know, what artists get paid, how much of these published numbers end up in the label's pocket, which is, you know, once you extrapolate all that, yes, the labels are making decent revenue, but the artists aren't. I think you've got to be on there to have that sense of self-promotion, but don't make it your be-all and end-all. As I say, it comes back to merch and trying to sell gig tickets. You need it as the gateway, but you're actually going to make revenue out of becoming a really good live band and having some T-shirts or printing up some CDs or vinyl or whatever, so that people have got something to take away.
So yeah, no, completely on the same wavelength. I mean, another important question. I really want you really hear your thoughts on this. Is, do you think record labels do enough to support new artists?
Ooh, it's tough.
Yeah. Sorry to ask, but
no, I know.
I'm really interested in what you've got to say.
It
on
depends
this.
where you look, because I think there are sort of two sides of each coin, I suppose. If you start with indie labels, you know that for certain sized indie labels, they'll have acts on their roster that are fiercely independent and have remained true to the sort of independent cause, and make their labels a bit of money so they can invest in up and coming artists. Dirty Hit have got the 1975 pretty much, and also Wolf Alice, and in the last 12 months have sort of unleashed just an incredible squad of about 10 new artists and bands, which is just like, it's exciting to see.
It's awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
Domino can do it because they know they've got, essentially you've got Arctic Monkeys bringing in some revenue for them. They can invest further down the food chain. They've also got some more established artists, you know, who can fly the flag. Same with Pias, same with Beggars, same, you know. So there's a certain level of indie label who I would say yes, and they go out and they can reinvest that, because for them, they remain independent because they are fiercely protective of that
Start
status.
nurturing that ecosystem again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's trying to feed that back into your grassroots, and as long as you've got a decent scouting network and some people who are doing some genuine A&R work, you can still find some gems. We know that. For the majors, I mean, I see a lot, you know, particularly for BT, where we're getting fed in, you know, lots of videos from some of the biggest artists. You also look further down the sort of inventory of what we're getting delivered, and there's a lot of new artists who I'm seeing. They might have come through the Amazing Radio ecosystem a couple of years prior, and it's like, oh great, they've been signed. I hope they get treated well, or I hope it's not a case that they stop gigging and suddenly they're less visible and they've been told to kind of go away and make a record. Then there's no promo or marketing budget when it comes around to anything beyond what they were doing before. And it's like, oh, just get this album out. Oh, it's charted at number 68, is it? Oh, and we're dropped, are we? Okay, off we go. And that, I've seen that story a few times without naming names. But like, for some of the larger labels, I feel like I worry when there's such an extensive list of people who are affiliated to the sort of, you know, the umbrella labels within the majors, because I just hope either that they get the platform they deserve, because you feel like we talk about hard work and years of slog and that kind of upward momentum. You feel like that gets either derailed or flattened, or I'm not saying return to square one, because the band will retain fans, but it's then taking the time to, once you've left that deal, to get your collective morale and sense of sort of being
it could be damaging
together
for people after doing all that work, and then it's like, you know,
go make a second record, and it's like, oh okay, that's got none.
Back in the day, it used to be the classic thing of you'd invest in a band, you know, the first album would be sort of okay-ish, second one bit better, third one maybe not good, the fourth one bosh.
Yes,
but at least they've invested.
Yeah,
you know, and that sort of, it's gone too far the other way, and it'd be nice to get some balance. But what do you think of artists, the DIY route? What's your views on that? I
think if you can somehow make, I don't know, if you can make playing live and producing some of your own merch your kind of your priority, or you know, printing even like a zine or like a paper to kind of go with your sort of bundle to give yourself a bit of identity. People come to your show and they want to know your feelings on so and so, or they want to know, or something of a tour diary they can take away with them, you know, a little 4-page pamphlet, just something like that to kind of be in people's homes. And I feel like that's quite rewarding when other people like booking agents and sort of other, you know, management can kind of come calling, because you've already sort of festered that sort of sense of, I don't know, that DIY ethos to the point where you know you can do a certain amount yourself, but you then can get that little leg up and you're ready to have that leg up. So I applaud people who manage to have the stones to do it, because it's not easy.
No,
There's
it's
times
not.
when
It's
you're
time
like,
consuming.
if you balance
it's
it with
expensive.
a full-time job, you've got a very understanding or flexible bosses who can kind of allow you the time. If you've got to take Thursday afternoon and Friday off, and you've got to then play 3 gigs in 3 days up and down the country, and then you're back to work on Monday with bags around your eyes and, you know, less productivity. You need that. You know, you need that sense of being enabled to do it. And I find it's not easy. But you can tell sometimes you see tour dates and it's all weekends, weekends, 5-day gap, weekends, 5-day gap, and you're like, okay, you kind of sense just by doing the maths almost like what a band is about. But you see the venues they're playing, you're like, okay, well they're commanding a decent level of fandom, in some parts of the country that they wouldn't have visited before. So,
well, that's an interesting trend that we're seeing. You sort of answered already, but it'd be good to go a bit deeper. As you know, the merch table comes out at our events, and because I'm a massive vinyl head, as you know, it's one of my things. But what we see now is the old mixed C90, C60 mixtapes, vinyl. Well, which 12 inches and 7 inches, which just I get super excited by. CDs, so that means that there's a real hope for the artists to get a bit of money as well. But do you think we'll see a resurgence from the fans to listen to more and more physical music?
I think it's come back to a degree because there's still. I think you look around and people, not necessarily everyone has got rid of the CD player at home, or some people have invested in a turntable that's quite affordable now. It seems in the grand scheme.
Not like the old Technics 1210s
exactly.
years ago.
Exactly.
That was year's salary.
Well, this is it. We're not even talking those levels anymore, are we? It's just a little thing in the corner that you can
50, 60 quid, bosh, with a line input, bang, you're away.
Perfect. And you've got, I think, as I said, where it kind of goes sort of hand in hand with streaming. It's like, okay, I've heard the music and I would like to invest in this band. If you have an awareness that certain bands need to put food on the table or even need money to press vinyl, which is, as we know, bloody expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap, man.
But if they've got that wherewithal to know that they can then sell a 7-inch for sort of 5 or 6 quid and make it worth their while, I think once you get that momentum, it's people are collectors by nature. We kind of hoard and collect, and people want to say invest in a band, but also I think this is why you get things like sort of Kickstarters and obviously up until recently the sort of success of things like Pledge, because people want to have something to show for their love of a particular artist. It's now skewed a bit more towards sort of established artists who don't want a traditional record deal and just want to churn out more merch. But like for an up and coming artist, I think it's a good platform to be able to at least let people know that you've got physical product out there. Yeah,
and I love some of the designs they come up with, the branding on the physical stuff as well. It's great to see that again, rather than just a generic, sort of YouTube cover or Spotify, whatever. You can see someone's really thought about how they want to be presented in the real world. Really love it, man.
I always think there's also, if it's a 4 or 5 piece band, there's every chance that one person in that lineup is quite artistic could design a decent T-shirt, for example, or scrawl something, get that printed 20, 30 times in various sizes, and you see them fly out. They're always limited edition, and again, people kind of focus in on that and say, I want that because that'll run out.
People doing it with graffiti. They do a big wall, cut it into chunks, and then selling with numbers on.
That's right.
It works. It works.
No, people want a piece of the action. So I think there's still that. I think there's still room for it to grow a bit more. And I think bands.
Yeah, agreed.
It's hard because it's almost an investment to begin with, but it's all a bit of an investment to begin with. If you've got to make time to make.
Well, everyone wants to invest because you could stay in, order a pizza, and watch rubbish on the telly, or you invest in going out, meeting new people, supporting live music. I think there's a whole thing that we have to get everyone to realise we're all invested in this, and it's great. So, how do you see the live scene evolving in the next couple of years? Next 2 years, let's say, rather than 1 year. The next 2 years. I
would hope, and I don't know. It almost feels like sometimes when you go to sort of city showcases, like not necessarily festivals, but when you go out maybe abroad and stuff, and you have a little bit of a look around, you see a lot of the gigs going on a lot later, and you feel like doesn't necessarily mean there's more bands, but there's always almost like a commitment to just being the whole night in a venue and it being a bit more of a kind of coming together of loads of people. I feel like maybe as we move away from I'm just going to be shy and stay at home and just access music via my phone or just, watch something on the telly, I feel like people will start to kind of come out a bit more and actually gravitate towards those.
Human
maybe
contact.
More like events. Exactly, human contact. Because people talk about, the physical sort of releases coming back and people listening to physical products, I feel people will start to crave human interaction again.
Yeah.
That's not just, oh, I'm on Twitter, I happen to be speaking to someone, or I'm on Facebook and I'm interacting with someone. Oh, but in the background there's a hell of a row going on because someone on my news feed's being really annoying or too politicized. And I just I don't want all that. I just want to speak to someone like I'm speaking to you now.
Yeah, agreed.
By a bar.
Yeah.
And there's some great music on, and I feel like you feel like you're there for. So I feel like we might see a situation where you end up moving away from the sort of the all dayer, and it might just get a little bit later into the night. I feel like there's scope for that to happen. Whether the licensing laws allow it is another thing, because this country can be quite peculiar with those kind of things. But as I say, and I also think you just more varied lineups as well. I feel like you won't necessarily have 3 or 4 guitar bands on the same evening. You will have someone who's got an element of sort of soul and psychedelia to them. You might have, a bit of hip hop, a bit of, a guitar band, then a sort of an acoustic. That's the kind of extreme sort of ends of the spectrum all in one place. But I still feel like, as I say, with the tastes of the younger generation coming through, who are showing an interest and wanting to actually be inspired by what they're seeing sort of out in the flesh. It's the diversity, I think, of the lineups that will start
key.
to thrive. Yeah,
absolutely key. And I think what I really like what you touched on there is one of the things that was really important for us with Benumu was bridging that gap between online and offline.
Yeah,
and that's so important. So you can find new bands, find new venues, find new like-minded people in an online environment. But then actually you can go out and go crazy and party.
Yeah.
And you've got something in common, which is one of the best things in the world, music.
Oh, exactly. Just because we're zoned into our screens for most of the day doesn't mean you still can't go out at a certain time of night and find something. There'll always be something local that you can gravitate towards that even if it's got kind of half a way of linking into what you're interested in. There'll be something, and you can. Even if you go somewhere just with a few mates, it can start small and grow.
It's amazing. So, I mean, I think everyone appreciates and knows how busy you are. Like just that amount of music to listen to, right? As well as BT, which is massive. How often do you get out to gigs these days? Less
than I used to. People are very kind and invite me, but it's hard to always get out and about. I've got 2 young kids, so there's an element of family duty sometimes as well.
Of course, man.
Which is inevitable. But when I do, I'd like to say 1 a week if I'm lucky, but realistically maybe more, 1 every 2 weeks or so.
Still pretty good.
Just try
in your workload, man. That's
I feel like I sometimes what I'm trying to do. I've started a club night where it's essentially me DJing for 3 hours. But I'm going to try, as time goes on, and sort of incorporate a gig into that. And actually just have bands play before the sort of evening rolls out. Near where I live, there's not much. As I say, sometimes there's not much to do sort of locally. But I was like, well, if we can try and build a scene around the kind of an Indian alternative club night, and then turn that into a gig as well. You almost kind of create.
Well, let's talk after.
Let's
talk after.
We can do it. Yeah, exactly.
I can see a few things brewing here, because it'd be great to get you to guest DJ at one of our nights
as
happy. Well. We can have with some artists for you. So there you go. So later on, guys, when we're having a few beers, there'll be some business being talked. So all the gigs, is there ones in particular, when you remember it, you go, oh my God, what a gig that was. I've got a few.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure you do. Just from this week.
Man, we out.
I think back. I mean, it's strange because my first ever gig was Blur at Wembley Arena, and when you end up, and this was the end of it must be '97. So you end up in Wembley Arena. And it's very sit down. It's very obviously when they're playing sort of song 2 and stuff. People just stand here, but it's Wembley Arena. So it's not as we talk about the whites of the eyes.
That was going to be my next question, by the way.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, see, we're synced, man.
Okay,
we're synced.
It's a vivid memory of seeing one of my favourite bands from being when I was sort of 13, 14 play live. But I was however many feet away from the,
it must have been mind-blowing, man.
But I was just like, oh, wow, this is insane. Like seeing most of Park Life, most of Great Escape, and most of the self-titled album played in the flesh, supported by the Super Furry Animals.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
absolutely bonkers. It was a great tour. It was a great tour. But that was my first gig. But that felt like that was special because it was going out for the first time. But then the first one where I was actually in the pit was my second gig.
Right, okay. Well, that's a bit of an escalate from all the way at the back to, wow, get in.
Feeder at the Astoria.
Right, well, okay, right.
So a year later.
Great venue.
Oh, rest in peace.
Don't, you know what I mean? Yeah.
They've not even finished Crossrail yet.
Don't, man. Don't.
Yeah, great,
Anyway,
great venue.
yeah,
So I was there a lot in my youth before it shut. But I remember the feeder gig. I distinctly remember it was the day we had our BCG injection at school.
Ah, right,
so I had a bit of a big arm. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you react in certain ways, and suddenly you're in a mosh pit, flying around, getting kind of limbs and elbows and headbutts.
Yeah.
And by the end of the gig, I just had this like massive red sort of tricep almost, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look too clever.
That's it.
But that was the gig of my life, you know.
Oh, man.
Because I think I'd loved loads of us. There was loads of us at school who loved Polythene by Feeder. It was like it was our album, you know.
Yeah,
so to see them, they were playing with a band called Everclear, who from across the pond, who I think it was a co-headline, but happened to be Feeder were playing last that night, and so we just had a ridiculously good time in the Astoria, age 14.
Happy days, man.
So it was those first sort of sweaty in the midst of it all.
Yeah.
I saw Ash, I saw Garbage, I saw those sort of late 90s sort of epiphanies of like, wow, these are the people I've been playing hundreds of times at home.
It's a strange feeling, isn't it? It's literally
you can't put your finger on why. I had a very formative trip to the States as well, where I saw Offspring.
Okay, right.
So this would have been around end of the late 90s, start of the early noughties. So my uncle, my dad's eldest brother, lives. He's English, but he lives in California and has done since the early 80s. And we were just visiting him, doing the usual California trail,
great,
doing Universal Studios and Disneyland. But it was like, but we also saw Offspring live, and I was like, this was at a time when over in the UK, Britpop had long since finished, and there was a kind of a sense that some of the bands coming through I kind of liked but didn't love maybe in the same way as Oasis, Blur, Sleeper, Pulp, all that, some of the big Britpop bands.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of looking a little bit further afield. And even when we literally got out, we got off the plane, hired a car. My dad just put the radio on, and on came K-Rock, the station out in California. And I was like, I'm playing Smashing Pumpkins on the radio.
Yeah.
This is great. Literally had it on for the rest of those 2 weeks.
Done.
And I was like,
road trip station.
And then when we got that, and so it was literally a case, the 16-year-old me was sort of in this looking further afield, because it was like, loved Coldplay, Doves, Travis, Elbow, like those kind of bands, but I was also looking for something a bit heavier, I suppose. And it seemed to be
Soundgarden.
They were around, but it wasn't quite the Black Hole Sun kind of era. It was a bit later than that. It was kind of like Burden in My Hand and kind of those sort of slightly different approach. It wasn't as noisy as it had been. So I was ended up, with people like, So it was like, so we basically said I went and rediscovered kind of Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and people like that. And then it was like, we're seeing Offspring live in this sort of amphitheatre. And we had great seats. And I was like, okay, I'm now... My diet has broadened.
It's food for the soul.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes you need to see something different to open your eyes. And I feel like that was the first time I saw sort of they're pop punk, but it was a fast-paced, high-octane gig.
Energy's great, man.
And you feed off it. You be like, right, when's the next gig?
Yeah.
When they're coming over to the UK?
Yeah.
Of course,
I don't want this feeling to stop.
But they played Wembley Arena. So again, I was like hundreds of feet from the stage. Yeah. But it's still one of those things where you're just like, wow, okay. So those early ones, I think, like, were proper, it feels
set
like...
the stage.
Exactly, and you feel like this is why you want to be a music fan, and if you know and acknowledge that you're rubbish at playing music, I played the piano for a little bit and never...
Steady, sir.
Oh, okay.
Steady, sir.
Okay.
Steady, sir. We literally are so on the same wavelength. Right. So the big question is, did you ever, sir, want to be a rock star?
Yes, but this is part of growing up and kind of being. I was a bit sort of thoroughly British about it, which was as soon as I found the piano hard, I was like, no, I don't know.
Okay, right, yeah.
And when I said to my piano, the guy who was teaching me piano, I said, I'm gonna give it up. I like listening to music. I love music, but I just don't think it's for me. Grade 2, and I'll declare at 2.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, have you thought of taking up any other instruments?" And I was like, "No, not really." He's like, "Oh, because my mate is a very good teacher of brass instruments."
Right.
And I was like, "Okay, what would you suggest? What's he willing to teach?" He's like, "Well, I'll have a word with him and see." And I was like, "Sure my mum and dad are expecting me to stop playing any kind of music now and stop forking out for music lessons and stuff." Next thing I know, I've taken up the French horn.
Oh wow, okay.
And so I was like, "Okay, here we go." So I learnt it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't think I'm very good at this either."
Oh right.
And the tipping point to give that up was I dropped it on my foot on the bus.
Oh,
and couldn't play football for a month.
Right, because they're a bit of a weight, aren't they?
They're huge.
Dudes,
Well, they're not. It's not a tuba, but it's it's sort of a hefty suitcase to lug around with you. Gave it up,
dude,
with a broken toe.
Right.
So,
right.
But you said rock star. So essentially, I kind of cut my losses at that, thinking I can aspire to be, I could sing not very well, and I can aspire to be, dress up like, heroes and things like that. But I don't think I'll ever be taking to the stage. I was realistic early on.
All right,
Simon.
so let's play Let's Pretend.
Okay.
Let's play Let's Pretend. So if you could sing or play any instrument, would it be singing or any instrument? What would it be, dude?
It's a blonde wig, a low slung guitar, and I've got Kurt Cobain's voice. Right.
Okay. So hold that. Picture that thought, everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So you're the band leader.
Yeah.
Right. You've got 4 bandmates to pick.
Okay.
Dead or alive, who would they be?
Wow. Okay. Matt Tong, former Block Party drummer.
Cool. Right.
One of the best drummers I've ever seen live. Mm-hmm. Astonishing. You think back to the mid-noughties, how many bands suddenly broke through.
Yeah.
Talk about Franz Ferdinand earlier, but and the people, bands like the Killers, bands like Block Party, Razorlight. There was just this ridiculous movement of and I saw a lot of live music, 2004 to 2007, that sort of uni, basically when I was a student. You just get to as many gigs as possible.
Okay.
And the drumming on that first Block Party album, and probably the ones following on until he left the band, even when they embraced a slightly more electronic direction, his drumming's amazing.
Yeah,
I pick him.
Right, so that's the drummer.
Okay. I would go for... so hang on. And I can't remember his name, but I come back then to Offspring's lineup.
Yeah.
The bassist, whoever was bassist for Offspring in '99,
right.
I pick him.
Okay. Answers on a postcard.
I mean, he might still be in the band. Yeah, this is terrible because that's very much a sort of a snapshot moment in my life. So it's like, and I should probably know. It would be a close run thing between him and Mike from Green Day, because I'm just another great pop punk bassist. Yep. It's energy. Yep. What I've gone for here is fast pace.
Yeah. I think I'm getting the vibe.
As Kurt Cobain, I'm potentially the slowest member of the band.
Okay, right.
Okay. Well, in certain contexts.
So we've got drums, we've got bass.
Yeah, and you've got me on vocals and guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Do we have a keys
We
involved,
might have a keys. Let me think.
Sex it up with a bit of sax.
Oh,
just for a real different.
Oh, hang on.
Let's go out. Let's get out there, dude. Let's go crazy.
God, I'm now just racking my brain for incredible saxophone players.
Lisa off The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the modern world. We've got sort of a cartoon alongside some real life.
That could be cool, man.
Dead, let me think. I would say there was a ska punk band called Cap Down in the early noughties. I think they were from around Watford. I might be wrong. But very much part of the sort of ska punk scene that me and a few other friends evolved to after that sort of American sort of pop punk stuff died down a little bit. Whoever played sax for them, it's insane. There's a song called Cousin Cletus, which is one of the best sort of ska punk tracks I think I'd ever heard, and still is. Okay. Please
inject
it straight into your veins. Please. Energy. It's just insane.
Okay, sold.
Yeah. That's my band.
Wow.
God,
what are you going to call yourselves?
Oh, the Special Guests.
Yeah, get in. Get sold. I'm sold. Right then.
Because then you can be on any tour lineup.
Any
unannounced tour.
We've got £1 million budget or £2 million budget, right? Wow, okay. The Special Guests are going on tour. Any venue in the world. Still around now, Seven Wonders of the World or whatever.
Story,
which which venue would it be, dude?
It's ridiculously difficult, isn't it? I've seen, and this is, it's quite a cliched thing to say. I've seen people who I know have again done the hard yards, and they've ended up. They're from the southeast. They're from London. They tell me to play, and it's two of them. It's either if they play the Kentish Town Forum or Brixton Academy. It's those that's the special kind of homecoming.
Right. Okay.
You've got a few thousand people in the room in a beautiful old theatre.
Yep.
And it's kicking off, and it's rammed.
Bosh. Done.
I tell you what, probably everyone says Brixton. Give me Kentish Town Forum.
Cool.
Because that's where I saw Ash and Idlewild and others way back when, in those very formative years.
Good choice, man.
We're playing the Forum.
Bosh,
on
done.
our route
Right.
to global domination.
Bosh, done. Right, so if anyone out there has got a time machine, get in touch or whatever. Let's make this shit happen. Special guests played a forum. Sold.
Good.
Right, dude. So before we go, is there any advice that you'd like to give to artists and bands? Because you are a wealth of knowledge, man. Everyone can see the clear passion, and you know so much, man. From the heart, what can you give to artists and bands as some full-on advice?
I suppose
no pressure, by the way. No,
there's lots of angles you can approach this with. I think from when you're starting out, I think you have to identify very early on who, outside of your band, who you listen to. You can have a lot of people saying, whether it be parents or people who want to be your manager or friends who might be giving advice, just know who to trust and who to listen to from the word go. Have that close-knit circle. And also then that prepares you for gradually bringing more people on board if you do start to kind of rise above the parapet. I would say have that circle of trust early on, but don't make it too big, because otherwise there's enough voices in a band already.
Yeah.
If you're a solo artist, it's a bit different because you need people to help you and get you around the country sometimes. You want to have a car, whatever, But particularly if you're starting a band, have that network you trust around you. Don't just get any old, my dad's mate managed a band once type attitudes where, back in the 70s, and that's not relevant to now, You
can headline at the local fete.
Yeah, it's just like, where are you going to end up? Exactly. Yeah. So there's an element of that. I'd say once you're going, we've touched upon it, as I say, gig as much as you can.
Yeah.
I return to a previous statement about as soon as you feel like you've written a song that you really like, honestly, identify the parts that really make you tick from that song, use them to create another one, and maybe another one, and honestly, just build an arsenal around that type of sound. You may end up with, as I say, two samey sounding songs, but you feel like they're the songs that release that sort of serotonin and those sort of endorphins within you, thinking, okay, I like how we're going with this. They may not both end up in your live set, but you might pick one you think, actually, that first one that we thought was great was just a gateway to an even better song.
Cool.
Because sometimes you get people who, they might send you a demo, and it is a demo, but you get a sense that it's going somewhere. And don't feel that, I don't want people to feel that pressure of saying, oh, well, we'll put that on SoundCloud or we'll put that on YouTube behind some kind of visualizer and be done with it. Sometimes you have to take what you consider to be your best song so far and just run with those ingredients a bit more.
Wise words, man.
I think that's what you've got to do. And as I say, if you get in touch on the email, just don't blind us with stats. Just talk to me about who you are and why you love doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Send them your Benumu profile because everything's in one place.
Yes, honestly, like it's to actually have so much under the same roof is just fantastic. So,
and everyone that's listening,
keep doing it as well.
This is one of the nicest guys I've ever met when it comes to speaking about music. The love and passion is please, go and check out his show on Monday, 7 p.m. on Amazing Radio. Please do it because the man's all about music. Awesome. So, dude, man, thank you so much for coming in, bruv.
Pleasure. Thank you. It's been great. I love this place.
It's wicked, isn't it?
Let's
big shout out for the rooster. Yay. No, really cool, man. Thank you so much. And ready for a beer?
Let's do it.
Amen to that. Yeah. Wicked. And done. Wicked, bruv.
Hey, I loved it. Great. I mean, it is just like...